Hi, welcome back to the next episode of the Keto Naturopath. I'm Dr. Carl Goldkamp. Today I want to keep it simple. I want to show you how to take care of your omega-6, how to know what that is, and how to just get on with it so it's not a problem in your life, okay? We've talked a lot about it. There's a lot of different videos on that I've put out. More to come. But I just want to show you how you actually take care of this. So the first thing is, where do you get tested? How do you get tested? I told you there's a lot of labs out there. We use Ultra Labs, and so people have gotten back to me, so I'm answering this question in essence. So if you want to use our portal, and we get nothing out of it, you just have to believe me on that. Wish we did. Um, Here's the link above. It's called ultralab.com/keto naturopath. That should be pretty easy to use. So that is our link. So you go on there and it brings you up to this particular page. These are test panels that I've made in the past for whatever particular reason I was working on. But what I want to show you, the first thing is, nothing's perfect here. This is what we use. It has its problems, and there's other things. I don't believe in perfection. I believe in usefulness. And so in this particular thing, I want to point out here, let me get this. It's not available in Wyoming, New York, Vermont, New Jersey, or Rhode Island. It's a commercial thing. It has nothing to do with that. Is the states are trying to protect themselves. So a doctor like me doesn't tell you living in Wyoming to go get these labs. They think it's taking away from their business for the state. So that's why that is. So if you're in those states, it's a little tricky. You'll have to look for something else. Contact me and see what else you can find. But for the rest of the country, Alaska and I guess Hawaii is not included either. You can find out about that. Usually you can go through another lab. So we're using Ultra Labs for most of the country. There are some exceptions. That's point one. So let's continue. So now, how are you going to get your particular test? Notice all these headings up here. So we're going to go under Order Tests. You're going to go under Search Tests. Over here, we're simply going to put in omega. You can see I've done that before. If you do omega-3 and 6, nothing comes up. Don't know why that is. So omega. Okay, this is the panel that I'm asking you to get. These are what they call all the tests, what they call biomarkers. These are all the tests. And so this is what I call the omega panel. LabCorp calls it the omega panel. Quest calls it the omega panel. This is Ultra Labs, which is really a Quest retail something or other. So this is what it measures, these things here. And what we're looking at primarily is the omega-6 to omega-3 ratio. We also can get what they call the omega-3 index. That's just a relative to EPA and DHA. All this is interesting, but this is what we're after. So that's the name of the test. That's how you come there. So you order that. So let's say we do it. Add to the cart. You check out. And this says 35 plus a draw fee of $8. And there you go. So that's your total cost going to be $43.95. And then you just basically put in your email and it sends it to you. Okay? So that's done. So now what I want to do, let's say you got your results. I'm not going to go through results right now, but I'm going to say what you are going to, and let's say it's high. Well, what are you going to do about it? Really, what are you going to do about it? First, let's find out where it's coming. So what I did, you go to Chronometer, and this is the free part. This is the free aspect of Chronometer. I pay for the coaching side of things, so that's a whole different thing. So I just put in, I added food, right? So you come to this blank page. I've not done anything special on this. I'm just using this to add food. So let me go to add food now. So let's say we're having, all right, ribeye, visible fat eaten, putting that in there, boom. So why do I do that? Here we go. Now I click this on there, go down here, and this breaks it down for me in omega-3 and omega-6. So the other thing is what I clicked in is I'm having 1 ounce of a ribeye. You know, I can change that if I want to. I can go, I'm having, most people have what, 6 ounces. Let's say 6. Okay, 6 ounces of ribeye with the fat eaten. What does that show me? Well, here it gives me in the grams, not much omega-6, not much omega-3. So what I wanted you to know is that go find your food, put it there, know how much you're eating. So for some of you, you may have to, if you want to be very specific to what your diet actually is, go ahead, get a food scale and go, ribeye, I put this on and it's X, put it in ounces and then you can put that in. Very straightforward. So I also threw in some other things. Let's say you have pork tenderloin lean only, which is kind of what we eat. Let's see what that has. Pork doesn't, and I put down, I had 9 ounces. So I had 9 ounces of tenderloin and it didn't have all that much omega-6. Now you could say, well, what kind of pigs are they getting it from? Are they getting it from, they're getting from grocery store pigs. This isn't farm raised pigs. Okay. And there's a lot of choices there, by the way. You can go back to adding foods under tenderloin and you have 50 choices. So you pick what you want to pick. Let's go to some processed foods. This might surprise you because this is the largest source. We have Doritos, tortilla chips, something that everybody loves. It's one grab bag, which is 3.5 ounces more or less. It also tells you these are your calories, this is your protein and carbs, obviously fats. But right now, we're not paying attention to any of that. We're paying attention to how much omega-6 does this have to omega-3. So you can add this up if you want to. You can do the whole thing. See if I can get that. So we do the whole thing. This is my total. For all that list that I made, here's my total for all that I eat. And this, I just made it up. This is not real. I have 30 grams of omega-6. So this is a way that I can figure out what is my source of omega-6? Why are my omega-6 ratios so weird? And when you get your labs back, well, this is how you address that. So this is step 2. Step 1 was go get the labs done. And then you get the results back pretty much within a week and you get it online. Okay, so now you have the results. What are you going to tweak? Now you're going to find out that you want to just look at omega-6. You're going to reduce omega-6, assuming you're high. Well, here's a few other surprises. Let's say you have egg yolks, right? Like we make the protein-sparing modified bread, and we separate out the egg yolks, but then we have the egg yolks separately. So this is not a processed food, so to say. And look at, what did I put down? I had 1 egg yolk. So 1 egg yolk has 0.8 grams. And you can put in, if I had 10 or the different kind of egg yolks, you can vary it. Yeah, it's not high, but I'm not having that. What if I had 5 egg yolks? What if I had, so there you go. What about Pringles, potato chips? That's a processed food. That's outrageously high in omega-6. So this is a great way for you to track, for you to find out, explore, and find out all these different foods if you want to switch things. So it often comes down to people asking. It's usually the healthiest people ask the most very precise questions, and they'll say, all right, well, I have chicken. Did I put down chicken? I have chicken here. Let's go and look at chicken. Chicken, it's pretty even omega-3 and omega-6. And these are whole food sources. This is whole food grocery store sources. It's not farm-raised chicken, so it's what most people eat. This is it. You can improve this ratio by getting better chicken eggs, having them not be fed corn and soy and whatever they're fed, but be just, scattering out and eating the bugs and so on and so forth, being regular chickens. Shows how much I know about it, right? But that will change it and make it basically better omega-3 and less omega-6. But right now, it's not terrible. It really depends on how much you have. But you put it in the context of everything else you have, and you go down and say, what are my largest sources? What is the largest contribution of omega-6 in my diet on a daily basis? So if you put in truthful food that you're actually having, you will get a truthful answer back out. I think that's pretty remarkable because considering, I don't know if it's 10 years ago or 15 years ago, I was still asking patients to write down longhand what they've eaten. Now it's much more, I don't really care about the nutritional value because that comes later. I'm looking for some big picture items. This is a big elephant in the room that we can escort out and really make a dramatic change in somebody's life. So now you know what is, assuming you've done this and did a little work there, that you now know what the largest contributors are. And so if you go, oh, I really love that thing. Well, now you can find another thing that has far less omega-6. Obviously, the bigger goal here is to shift from processed foods, which is going to be the lion's share of your omega-6, to whole food sources of protein. So people do ask, what about chicken, which I just looked into? What about pork? They're really high in omega-6. Well, if you're having whole food sources, and I'm not saying the perfect pig and I'm not saying the perfect chicken, I'm saying grocery store, at that level, if those were the only things that were contributing to your omega-6, it wouldn't be that high. It wouldn't be 17 or 18, might be as high as 4, might be lower, might be down to 2. So measuring it is a big deal. I get questions of how much fish oil should I take? Well, as you've now heard in a number of videos I've done that you cannot omega-3 your way out of this. If you're high in omega-6, you can't omega-3 your way out of this. So if you're just taking fish oil, no, start eating fish would be a lot better. It's incorporated and it stays with you longer for a lot of reasons. But as you've seen in the last video, that omega-6, when it's high, it pushes and makes it the supplements that you take unavailable. It inactivates them, if you will. They are not effective. They are not active. They are just not worth taking. So you have to address the omega-6 first. It's a separate problem. It's not a question of I eat this, I should take this much to balance it, like the seesaw. That's a bit simplistic. Look at, do you have a problem or not? If you don't have a problem, don't worry about it. Continue going on what you're doing. If you have a problem, meaning that you have a high omega-6, then it's worth addressing. Find out the source, change the sources, ask for alternatives so you don't know. But that's pretty much what we do here. In terms of, are there better foods to eat versus not? I did that before, and I'll go through this again just briefly. This is something I thought that would be a good little transition point to get into some other data, is that, you know, cattlemen farmers knew how to fatten up beef a long time ago. And they simply, and this shows that this is the month before when they take them to the stockyards. So when they go to the stockyards, they're fed grain. They no longer are grazing in the mountains or they're grass fed, they're fed grains. Why do they feed them grains? Most people think they feed them grains, which is not natural for cattle to eat, by the way. They feed them grains because it's the calories and it's the carbohydrates that makes them fat. No, that's not the case. Well, I mean, there is calories, but a cow isn't automatically going to overeat because he has more grains there. What you get with grains is basically no omega-3 and all omega-6. And so that in itself, remember, that's the obesity oil. You've now forced obesity oil down their throats, so they're getting fatter. It also makes them very pro-inflammatory, which makes them need more antibiotics, which makes them fatter. So in that course of the month before they're going to get slaughtered, you've now made them fat and ill health and inflamed before you slaughtered them. That's the secret to making money that last month of raising beef. But this is basically just showing a study they did on how the EPA and DHA, your omega-3s, declined rapidly on grains once they're taken to the stockyard. Off to the side, by the way, omega-3s, as more research shows that omega-3s play a crucial role in the prevention of atherosclerosis, heart attacks, depression, cancer, and arthritis. Covered that a couple times. Low levels of omega-3 consumption have to do with low serotonin levels, depression, suicide, and Alzheimer's. So it's a big deal. But anyway, what I wanted to show you was this. Here is, let's take it by one. This is, meats. What is the highest highest omega-6 meat? Pork loin. Okay. Well, relative to meat, it's fairly high. What else was a lean ground hamburger? Hamburger was overwhelmingly high. So yeah, those are high relative to meat, but relative to processed food, it's not high. Let's look at poultry, because people ask about chicken. Oh my gosh, I eat chicken a lot. Well, here's relative to chicken, chicken breast skinless. It's not that high. It's higher than omega-6 was. Highest was egg yolk. It's kind of an unfair comparison. I brought that up before. Okay, it's chicken breast, egg yolk, and so you need to have a lot of this to be high in omega-3. It's higher than the other options, but it's not real high relative to processed foods. Processed food kills it. A better question would be, what's the equivalence in terms of chicken breast of omega-6 in 4 Dorito chips? So if I said and I'm making this up because I think it's an interesting comparison. What if you needed to eat 10 chicken breasts to equal the number of omega-6 to have the same amount of omega-6 oil as 4 Dorito chips? That's probably about right, by the way. Good comparison. I'll do that later. Okay, fish, obviously low because you're eating it for your omega-3s. And what else we have? Shellfish, and so on. So when we do, the reason I showed you this, when have whole food sources of food, we really, yeah, we have a high and low, of course, because it's a comparison, but we don't have a lot. So if one is really using whole food sources of protein, that's really not much of a issue. Get tested though. That's just hypothetical. People, for whatever reason, want to feel smart because they've changed their diet. And when I go, hey, well, go get tested for $43 now. For $43, go find out where you stand. No, they don't want to do that. Why? Because they want to feel smart. They want to feel like taking care of it. And that's the way it goes. That's human nature. I've been around that for a while. Oh, well, I'm suggesting you do this, you take care of it, you document it, and you move on. Hope that was helpful. Talk to you next time. Bye-bye.